Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Espresso with Matt. I am here with Deanna Russo, who is a LinkedIn trainer, speaker, author, coach, amongst other things we'll talk about today. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm really thrilled. So our first question we always ask is, well, what's in the coffee cup today?
I have water.
Water. Oh my
Water is
goodness.
my energy fluid.
Well, I gotta tell you, I have to change the name of this show. That's it, because I have had tea drinkers, hot cocoa drinkers, someone who drinks some kind of mushroom coffee. I never heard of that before. Soda. Now you're the first water drinker. Well, I'm not sure, but like, as far as bringing that, so I have actually a little Mickey Mouse
Mickey.
yeah, espresso today. It's
Nice.
my fourth cup, so I think
Oh,
this
you're
is
raring to go.
just getting started. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely do enjoy the espresso, but I think the four is the one where if I drink any more in this any later, my wife will make me go down to the couch at some point tonight. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll slow down. So good, got water. You're well hydrated. Excited about a great episode today. So I'm really thrilled you're joining me today. I've been following your content. I've been following your information for the last few months, and you've really helped me understand LinkedIn. And I'm thrilled you're joining here because you have such great content and great stuff to put out there for everyone. So can you just
Thank
kind of
you.
give a sense of what you do, a little bit of your role, a little bit of some of the opportunities that you have for your role?
Sure. So I got on LinkedIn back in 2008, but in 2018 is when I took a sales job. And that company wanted me to use LinkedIn in order to bring in new business. But for them, it meant writing up a script and spraying and praying as you sent it all over the place. And if you're on LinkedIn, chances are you have gotten one of those messages. And I still apologize to people 7 years later for sending them the message.
You're really
But
asking for forgiveness. I understand. I got
I
it. So
know. I'm like, yeah, please, please forgive me. But I got a light bulb moment weeks into that. That
Mhm.
was these people don't know me. These people don't like me. And these people probably don't trust me. And so it's all about growing the know, like, and trust organically on LinkedIn. And so when I'm teaching people the fundamentals of LinkedIn, it's about what you say in your profile, and it's about having those conversations, and it's about creating that content. And the profiles where the no comes in, and the conversations creates the like, and the content creates the trust.
well, it's such a basic concept, right? I mean, you think about you know what people want in their life, in their relationships with people. They want to know someone, they want to trust, they want to be able to communicate with that individual. But I wonder why we think that online somehow we're different. And one of the key things I personally done over the years with technology is I stop and think, okay, if this wasn't on the computer, or if this wasn't on my phone, what would it be? And I think about LinkedIn, and I'm dating myself here. Please apologize. Well, it's a Rolodex, right? I mean, you remember the Rolodex. It's
Yes.
it's it's your business cards. It's you know what was Facebook before Facebook? One of my friends from college actually posted on our Facebook. Our freshman year, we got a picture book with everyone's picture and name. That was our first Facebook, was actually pictures in a book. Um,
Yep. Yep.
so I think about LinkedIn. Why do we think communication that would not work in real world? If you just went up to everyone in the street and said, "Hey, I'm selling you something. What do you think?" How successful could you be? Why do we
Right.
think it's going to work here? I love that conversation. So you kind of came to this epiphany of I gotta be authentic. Yeah,
Yep.
now, when you went to tell your boss as a salesperson, how did that conversation go? I'm curious about that.
they just wanted me to use LinkedIn, and they saw that I was growing my network. So they didn't really argue with it. They just wanted me to use it to bring in new business. And it transitioned, that opportunity transitioned into more of an administrative role. And I wasn't for it. Like I knew why I was hired. So when I got out, I had everyone that I had been networking with, both face to face and on LinkedIn, telling me, you figured something out. And now here's your opportunity to teach people. And so now I'm coming close to the 5-year anniversary of Leverage Up. And I look back at that as, it's, if I wouldn't have done that, I don't know if I would be teaching people on a regular basis how this all works. And where I feel most fulfilled is when they get those light bulb moments to say, I really get it now. I understand it a lot more than I did before. So
Well,
that's where my success comes in.
now, are you inherently a teacher, or is that just type of your personality, or
No, no. I went to school for broadcasting. I was a
okay,
TV news producer for 6 years
very cool.
and got into online marketing and had been in marketing, sales, public relations. And no, so teaching is a little new, but it's a natural fit because I already had taught myself this strategy on LinkedIn. So I know the platform well enough that I can teach others.
Yeah, and for myself, I share a little bit of my journey on LinkedIn. I worked 26 years before I left at a psychiatric hospital. Started as direct care staff members. Ultimately, got promoted a few times into the HR role. And so the first time I saw LinkedIn was as an HR recruitment, and we bought the recruiter seat. We did the recruiter thing, and every once in 4 months, I dust off my password for what my password was and say, "Oh, we're looking for this position. We're looking for this nurse." Or I look at that. I never built anything from my LinkedIn. I'd post, my update for a while. I wasn't really in the job market. And then a few years ago, I got promoted to VP of operations, and a marketing person from my hospital system came up to me and said, "Matt, as an executive now, you need to build your brand." And I'm like, all right, get out of my office. I got to run a hospital. I don't have time for that. Literally it's during COVID, it's during all this other stuff. I got to worry about building a brand on LinkedIn. But man, what great advice that was. And I wish I listened to it years ago. I
Yeah.
just didn't. Um, and so now as I kind of, left that work and I'm kind of building my own business and building my brand. And man, I've been so impressed with the LinkedIn and this journey of that. And what I love about your content and what I love about what you put out there, you have great technical skills and you talk a little bit about the position. But the theme I see over and over in your content is authenticity, this idea of being authentic in your communication, finding the blend between personal and business and putting that out there. And that's advice you get from everyone. Some people think that LinkedIn has to be the sterile resume career. How did you evolve to that advice for people?
Professional for people could mean just the suit and tie. They could mean just business. But what I tell people is it's not B2B or B2C. It really is human to human. It is H to H. And so there are other sides of that coin too, because if people don't know what you do and they don't know what your business is, and then they're just learning the personal side. So there's a happy medium between showcasing who you are on the professional side and peeling some of that onion away and showing who you are on your personal side. So it's a balance. And when I started creating content in 2018, I was all professional because I was really at the starting blocks. So I knew that if I didn't create content that showcased what my company was all about, the company I was working for at the time, then they wouldn't get to know the business side first. So to people just starting their content journey, I say just make sure that you have a good balance between the professional side and the personal. It could be 80-20, it could be 70-30, but it needs to think about the ultimate goal of being on LinkedIn. And that's what you lead with. I'd say the same thing to people about their headlines on LinkedIn, that you could be a wine lover, you could be a dog lover, you could love your favorite professional sports team, but lead with the primary goal of why you're on the platform. And it's been successful for me because I have found that balance.
If you have a dog that loves wine, you should talk to people about that.
Or
That's pretty
even
good.
better, even
But,
better.
but you know, it's such great advice because, you know, you start building your resume and you start building your profile and you start building it out there. And a lot of people start LinkedIn for a job search. But what I've noticed is, there's a lot more going on there. And as you follow that and go from there. So as you build that brand, it's definitely a journey, and some of the things that I've really enjoyed about creating content is people coming to me and talking to me afterwards and saying, I enjoyed that or I learned from that. And man, that's bringing a lot of value. But your story of your success and what you've grown, there's got to be some secret sauce there because your numbers are so impressive. I saw like how you grew your followers, how quickly you grew your followers. Um, what did you think you tapped into the market to be successful with that? Where would that kind of um, where was that secret sauce for you?
I think it comes down to the strategy that I teach my clients,
Yeah.
that organically this can happen. If you create the billboard that is your LinkedIn profile and you showcase that billboard, then the other two pieces are where you get cars driving by that billboard. So engagement is really, it's creating that like factor and creating conversations and jumping into conversations that are already in place. When I teach strategic conversation or strategic engagement, I say, if you walk into that networking event and you see all of these groups of people talking, imagine that there are signs hanging over the conversations telling you what everybody's talking about. Matt, I have yet to walk into a networking event where there's signs hanging all over the place,
There's no
but
signs.
it's the best metaphor I can use to say, those are my people. That's where I need to be more visible. I'm going to walk over to that conversation and start chatting. So I'm the only person that is teaching that is teaching that strategic engagement piece. And it comes down to content in addition to those other two pieces. So that's why the triangle exists. You can't have one piece without the other two.
Yeah.
And then you take that triangle and transform it into a pyramid. And that's the consistency piece. You got to consistently keep this up,
Yeah.
or else you don't have the fuel to keep that steam engine moving forward.
And it's funny with LinkedIn and building the content and you start doing that, you become kind of in this little bit of a circle, like what am I building the content for? Right. And I always come back to the why, you know, and anytime you're putting a message out there, I try to think about the audience receiving it. Why do they want this communication? Like, well, what am I adding to this? And I've been met so many authentic, amazing thought leaders on LinkedIn on a range of subjects. Everything from things I'm passionate about, like mental health, behavioral health. So I've talked to individuals in those areas, to HR and leadership, to now I start talking to people about LinkedIn about that. So it becomes its own discussion. And you know, what I find is that what works in networking in real life works on LinkedIn too. And once you master some of the technology aspects of it, which I will tell you, I'm probably at the seventh grade level of understanding. I probably could use the social media to the platform of a normal middle schooler. Um, but what I am developing is that communication style, which works very well as it would be in a cocktail mixer or a conference, or it can work online. But it's about connecting the people on your LinkedIn profile to real people. There are people
Yes.
behind there. And you see, you actually take clients on, you have a business, you built a brand on this, and you've talked in so many different discussions and everything like that. What are some of the purposes of what people are looking to do on LinkedIn? Like, what do you help them achieve?
They're different goals. People come to me for different reasons. Some people are business owners and they want to grow their brand and they want to make themselves more visible to the people who they want to talk to. Some people are sales professionals who tell me, Deanna, I'm really good at selling this pen, but I cannot turn the mirror on myself to sell myself. So I need help. And then there's other people that are like, I'm looking for a job and I've been applying and applying and applying. And I said, there's a whole network right here of 1 billion people that you need to show up. You need to show up because you never know who knows who. And if all you're doing is spending your time applying and not showing up, then you're missing out on a large opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's can be quite engaging too. And I think what I found also from a lot of people who are very powerful, and your brand, as you look at your brand, for example, which I love that term purple squirrel, by the way, well branded there, you're consistent with your message, over and over again. Your content has some themes, there's a consistency to it. Your website, what you're selling, what you're bringing to the table is very message. And for me, I keep coming back to I want to have authentic conversations. I want to be in a position where I can talk about leadership, HR, these things, but from an authentic conversation because that's how I came up with this show, quite frankly. Because this is what I did at work all the time. I had a coffee machine in my office. I drank, too many coffees, and people talked to me in the office. And then I would go home sweaty and probably too caffeinated. But that being said, uh, you know, having these authentic conversations, learn things, and you know, for those getting started who have a little bit of a challenge finding their voice, maybe they don't want to produce content or being on videos too much. How do they get involved? How would you suggest they kind of start their networking journey and get involved in LinkedIn? Someone who maybe
Well,
doesn't
the
want to be on
first step,
stage.
right? The first step before they're going to create that content and they are a little hesitant is to take a look at their profile.
Yeah.
Because if you don't show up and you people don't know who you are or what you do by looking at your profile, I say it's a really good way to turn the mirror on yourself and see what you're saying about yourself. But after that, then it's time to get cars driving by your profile, by your billboard. And that's where conversations really come in. So, commenting can be a fantastic way to grow your visibility and just having conversations and comment the exact same way that you would comment in person. Because saying great post or saying love this or saying that's not going to lend to the conversation. And the best way to be authentic is for other people to say that you're authentic. The other people to say it's not you saying I'm authentic, look at me. No, other people need to say that about you. And so they will, the more that they see you show up as yourself online.
What great advice. Be yourself. I mean, how liberating is that? You can be yourself. In part of my career journey, I worked in a youth residential program at the behavioral health out. And so I had adolescents, teens, 13 to 18, with emotional behavior issues who lived with us for long-term treatment. And I would hire all kinds of staff members, and people would give me the advice, well, how should I act around the kids, or what should I do around the teens? How I act. My advice would be, first of all, be professional. They're not your friends. You're here as a professional aspect, but most importantly, be yourself. If you try to walk in there like the cool guy and trying to talk in their language or use their words, you're not going to get anywhere. And what I found working with many different people working with these kids was the authentic team members, the people who basically could kind of be comfortable in their own skin and be okay with who they are. Man, they did a great job. And I think that's no different than networking in any type of way, also. And
Mhm.
the freedom you give people to say, hey, you're awesome in the fact that you're yourself and authentic in a way. Just polish that up and have that a strategy there is really, really cool. And I think um needed these days because one of the things I think when you get into social media and you get to Instagram and things, there's this polished version of life out
Yeah.
there we see that can
Yeah.
be kind of mentally harmful for people.
Hmm. Yeah.
Find
But
your voice.
even showing up in video
Yeah,
can be overwhelming to people. And it goes the same way. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be you. The same exact thing. But then people see you. So it's not just words on a screen. They're actually, this is you.
yeah.
So that's another reason why I say, if in order for you to show your human side, video can be a great way to do that.
It's a wonderful tool. And from someone who I joke around has a face for radio, getting myself online. And what's really, really the learning opportunity too, for me at least, was when you edit the videos and you actually have to watch yourself. And I think back about when I played football in college, how much I learned from the film sessions. And you learn a lot about
Yeah.
yourself on video. And that's tough. But the fact of the matter is, um, it's really some great opportunities to do that. And the truth of the matter is, I think there's just more and more communication out there. It's going to be different ways of communicating and being able to be authentic and communicate that way. It's something I really love. And your TV background, whoa, well, that really has, what an advantage there. I mean,
Who
produce,
knew?
yeah,
Who knew?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
There's something about writing that has transformed through my entire career.
yeah,
Whether I'm writing for newscasters or I'm writing press releases or I'm writing for online, it's grown and it's developed over the years so that I can knock out a LinkedIn post in a little bit significantly shorter period of time than other people would.
yeah,
But that's where we go into that consistency. No one is going to be where I am now
yeah,
tomorrow if you just start today. You need to commit to working at it.
yeah.
And commitment means consistency. It really does. It means showing up and having the courage to keep showing up regardless of what else is going on.
Yeah.
That you're just going to consistency is a lot of where I am today.
Yeah, and what great stuff. I mean, it's really awesome to see how people take different skill sets and are modifying them in different ways. And I'm just fascinated how people have been able to change direction in the streams and find whole new careers using new
Mm-hmm.
platforms. It's really empowering. I mean, so your story right now is amazing. You go down a certain direction, then life happens, right? I mean, then you end up in a different direction. And how you take those skills and put them to use in a different way. And it's interesting as I've been doing a lot of networking. I've talked to a lot of people, there's people in the job market, people who are looking for career changes, and it's interesting. There's a lot of people out there really stuck in being able to kind of transition and feel like they're not. I talked to someone the other day who had years of experience, great degrees. I said, you should come on the show. And he's like, I'm not a subject matter expert. I'm like, you were in the field for 25 years, you have 2 degrees, a master's degree, and 2 licenses. If you're not an expert, who is? Um, and I find that it's really important for people to kind of get themselves unstuck, try something new. And
Right.
Diane, your message is such is such a great message to share with other people. I
And
appreciate
the
it.
only way to get unstuck
Yeah,
is to take baby steps.
yeah,
Because before that person gets on your show, he has to come to terms with, yeah, I do know something. I do know more than this person. What's when I'm working with people, I'm all about what is your differentiator? What sets you apart from everyone else who does what you do? And if you do not know that, I recommend doing some brainstorming to figure out, because if I go into LinkedIn and I type in any type of job, account executive, project manager, attorney, I get millions of people that show up in that search. Millions. But what sets Jane apart from Joe?
yeah.
It's
It-
all about showcasing the differentiator.
so important. For those out there who want to work with you, who want to grow their brand and maybe are ready to take a step, how do they get in contact with you? Where will they find some more of your content, some of the services you offer? Could you kind of go through that for everyone?
LinkedIn is a great way to follow to see my content. I also put together a monthly LinkedIn newsletter that comes out. It's called the Deanna Russo Report. It comes out once a month, Wednesday, the second Wednesday of every month.
Yeah.
I also write an email blast that comes out. I always say that it's never spammy, it's never salesy. It is
Oh,
just useful information that comes to your inbox about LinkedIn. And that's every other week, just about. And so you can sign up for that from my website. And my services are all listed on my website, leverageupllc.com, as well as guest appearances that I've been on. I'm coming close to 50 podcast appearances since I started my business. And yeah, all of the information is just a matter of reaching out and let me know how you heard of me.
it's awesome stuff. I mean, it's out there. You should definitely follow, take a look at it, and I would recommend you to anyone who's interested in growing their brand. Such really wonderful stuff. And I followed you for months
Thank
before I
you.
actually kind of reached out because I was just really enjoying the content, going from there. And I love the newsletters and your images and your gifs. Well, I'm not sure what they are.
The
Uh,
gifts, yep, yep.
are well used. And again, it's good, bite-sized morsels of information. Okay. Well,
Yep.
we are approaching our favorite time of the day, which is the
Okay.
espresso round of questions.
Okay.
So we have a few quick questions just to get to know you a little bit more.
Got it.
And so the first question we have is, what is the best piece of advice you ever got over a cup of coffee?
Be yourself. And I tell people to be the same person you are online, who you are offline, because they don't need a split personality. You don't need to deal with two different, it's not two face. It's the same, be the same person.
That wonderful advice, and really, I think that really helps. It's like the idea nothing works like the truth. And if you're
Right.
always yourself and you're consistent to your brand and to who you are and what you feel comfortable with, it's just a really great place to live and operate in. So that is
Yeah.
wonderful advice. You can go back and talk to a younger version of you and give yourself some advice. What advice would you give?
Do your research.
Okay.
Before you decide what you want to do your research. Do your research on the field. Do your talk to people who are currently sitting in those seats. And I'll tell my kids as they choose their career, talk to people who are currently doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
because the idea of that doesn't necessarily meet the reality. So to have a discussion, do your research.
Someone told me as I got promoted a few times, They came to my office and they said, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. And it's true. Sometimes we're on this trajectory to get the next roles, these positions, and then we get them. We're like, why do I get this job? My favorite all time was I talked to a person we hired in our hospital for a phlebotomist position. A week into the job, they said, I have a fear of needles and blood. Well,
Hmm.
took a bad role there. And I think I joke with that, but it's such great advice because get those experiences, talk to leaders in the field, get that information. Wonderful, wonderful advice, and really, really sound. So we
Absolutely.
we have a lot of people who watch this show who are leaders, who are thought leaders in the industries. What's a piece of advice you give to everyone as a leader right now over a cup of coffee?
No one will be able to sell you better than you can sell yourself. So people cannot do business with you. People will not use your services if you don't step up and sell yourself. So you are your best advocate.
Yeah, be your own ambassador. That is really wonderful advice for leaders. Our last question from the espresso round. You can have a cup of coffee with anyone, anytime, any place, anywhere. Who are you having a cup of coffee with?
Oh, this is hard. This is hard. Um there's a lot of musicians out there that I respect. So the first impulse is to go to Steven Tyler from Aerosmith.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that would be one. Um, he doesn't have much of a vocal cord going for him these days. They had to cancel their tour.
Yeah.
So I would love to chat with him and like, I don't know, I think that would be really cool. I'd also like to go back in time and talk to a president like John F. Kennedy Jr. And I mean, there was a lot of life that was left to live there. So I'd love to. I think that would be a really good conversation. And then on
Right.
a personal side, I would love to talk to my sister. My sister was killed at the age of 18, and I would love to have one more
Yeah.
chat with her.
Such a meaningful post. You put that information out there, and it was very heartfelt. And I will tell you that that is such an awful thing, drunk driving. And
Thank you.
thank you for sharing that and that information and the courage there. And what a wonderful, wonderful conversation today. Such great advice. Thank you so much for joining today. I was really
Thank
excited about
you.
having you on and exceeded all expectations and really excited about all the things that are potentially out there for LinkedIn. So
Oh yeah,
thank you
me
so much
too.
for
Who
yeah,
knows? knows where LinkedIn is going next?
yeah.
I
We
don't
we
have
don't
a
have a crystal.
roadmap.
Who knows where we're all going? All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Everyone, we have our next cup. Thank you so much for Espresso with Matt today.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.